Hey, Sub-Tours. My name is William Tingle of Sub2Deals.com. I would like to welcome you to this episode of the Sub2 Deals Show, where we talk about all things subject to. Now, occasionally we will cover other topics, but it's always something to help you with your real estate investing business. Today is another episode in our Real Experts series, where we feature real experts in one or more aspects of real estate investing or on other topics that impact real estate investors. They share their expertise on things that can be critical to your success as a real estate investor. My guest today is David Dishman. David is an expert in the area of credit repair. He is the owner of Omega Credit Repair, and he comes to us out of the small town of Plano, Texas. We were just joking a little bit about that. It's a city of about 300,000, but it's right outside of Dallas. He's been actively involved in the credit repair field for over 17 years. So he is an expert and can help us out today with some of those things that, you guys from time to time, I know I talk to you guys about how important having a good credit repair person on your team is, and he's going to help us with that today. So David, welcome to the Sub2 Deals Show.
Well, thank you so much, William. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully sharing some knowledge with you and your listeners.
Great. Yeah, we haven't had anyone on to talk about credit repair. I've been talking to my students for years about this. When I changed my business model about 11 years ago and went to strictly seller financing, a credit repair person became a key player on our team because most of the people that we deal with have credit issues. That's why they're buying from us, or they would be getting 2 and 3% interest rate mortgages just like other people. But they need a little bit of help. Maybe it was a bankruptcy, a divorce, a loss of a job, just life really. I joke a lot of times. I say, I talk to a ton of sellers and buyers, and I would hear a lot of times, well, I had great credit, but I got a divorce and it wrecked my credit. And I couldn't really understand how that all went together until about 12 years ago when I got a divorce. And then I understood exactly what it meant. But life happens. And
that is exactly, William, that is exactly what I tell clients every single day. We are not here to judge. We're here to support our clients and help them through this time. And it could be any number of things. It could have been a divorce. It could have been a medical issue. It could have been, outsourcing, downsizing, mergers. The company does a restructure to figure out, they just had a merger. What positions can they cut? It could be COVID. Okay. I have a feeling that here in the next 6 months, we're going to see a spike in the number of people that are needing credit repair as fallout from the last year of COVID. And so it's really important that my team, not judge these people. And we want to provide them information. They're reaching out to us. We listen to their story. We provide empathy, but then we provided education and the resources so that they can move forward.
Mm-hmm. Great. Just to get kicked off here, like I said, my model involves buying houses, subject to, of course, that's what we do. We're pretty cookie cutter around here. We take over the payments on existing financing, and then we look for someone to purchase those houses who typically need some credit repair. And we run our buyers through a mortgage broker so that we're Dodd-Frank compliant. They check everything out. They check their credit, which is usually bad for some reason. But anyway, at that point, before they get in the house, we put them with a credit repair specialist. That's one of the conditions of them buying from us. Our goal isn't to charge people a high interest rate forever. We want them typically in 2 to 3 years to be able to go out and get the best financing available. And that's where the credit repair plays a key role in that. A lot of people that I run into, can do some of these things themselves, but they just don't have the knowledge or the patience, and you guys know exactly what needs to be done. So tell me a little bit about what you would do to help my buyer when I sent them to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and real quick, you touched on something there that I do want to make sure I don't forget to address, and that's, can they do it themselves? And absolutely, in fact, by federal law, as a credit repair specialist, I have to tell clients that, hey, this is something that you can do on your own. Okay, and the difference is that there's a lot of things that you can do on your own. You can give yourself a haircut, you can give yourself stitches, you can even represent yourself in a murder trial. Doesn't mean that you want to.
Right.
Okay. The reason that you hire us is because we've been doing this for 17 years. We've got the knowledge and we understand FCRA, FDCPA, the Metro 2 format, all of these different resources that are out there to protect the consumer. And so we're going to get better results faster than the average consumer would. Okay.
Right.
What we do is we start by listening to the client's story to say, where are you? How did you get here? What's going on? Because there's different ways that we want to address certain things. If they were actually legitimately the victim of identity theft, then we're going to treat that differently than if they had a layoff or a medical issue or a divorce that caused their current situation. So we want to get a little bit of the backstory. But then federal law says that anything that is on the credit report has to be 100% complete, accurate, timely, and verifiable. The absence of any of that criteria makes it subject to either deletion or correction. Okay. So when we contact the individual companies and we contact the bureaus, we're actually looking for that very specific technical error and omission. And that's what helps us to help the clients get this stuff either updated or deleted. The more stuff we get updated or deleted, the higher the scores go. The higher the scores go, the easier it is to get the financing that they're looking for.
Right.
Okay. Now, key to that is that while we're working on the negative stuff, we also want to give the client the tips, tools, techniques, things that they can do on the positive side to help impact their score while we're working on the negative stuff.
Okay. One of the additional things that we require our buyers to do, and you tell me if this is helpful, it's always just been my assumption that it would be. A lot of times people with poor credit won't have a bank account. For whatever reason, we require our buyers to go out, get a checking account, if for nothing else than to make their payments to us every month, because that's a verifiable means of timely payments when it's time to get that new financing. Is that actually helpful? And is that something that you would recommend to the clients?
So we always recommend that they have a bank account,
Mhm.
but that does not actually impact their credit score.
Mhm.
Okay. You want to make sure that they have a bank account so that they can pay you, but it also allows them the opportunity to learn financial responsibility, and it also allows them the opportunity to build a relationship with that bank so that they can go to Capital One or their local credit union and get a secured credit card.
Right.
That secured credit card that does report to the bureaus will impact their credit score. Even if they don't, even if they go to a different secured credit card, that provider is going to want them to have a bank account so that they can draft the deposit money from it. So yeah, so we're on the same page there. We want them to have a relationship at a bank, but having a bank account will not impact their credit score.
Right. But I guess it's just a piece of the overall developing a good financial, I don't know, just an awareness of good financial habits and just being able to be responsible with your money and your credit.
Yeah, it's about behavior. It's about habits, and so you're right on the right track. A lot of folks who have bad credit, they're just stuck. They don't know where to go for help. They don't know where to get the information, and it's not for a lack of information. I mean, the financial self-help industry is $1 billion a year industry. Okay, it's estimated that financial self-help will grow to over $2 billion by 2025.
Mhm.
But it's the application of that information. It's not a lack of information, but the application of it.
Right.
And I promise you, you will never see a millionaire or an everyday millionaire getting, paying for their utilities by getting a money order at 7-Eleven.
Exactly. Exactly. That reminds me, the first 12 years I was an investor, I was what we used to brag about being a transaction engineer. I was a Section 8 landlord. I did straight rentals. I did lease options. I did seller financing. When I converted and changed things, I had much more stability because before you would get checks for your rent or your payments, money orders by the ton. I mean, cash payments, they would bring in all kind of different stuff. It just a completely different lifestyle, I guess. That's exactly what I wanted to avoid with my buyers as I changed my model was the payment by money order and things like that. You need to have a verifiable source of payments. So we went to using an actual payment processor company that would ACH draft from their bank account every month. We had it within 48 hours, so it was a much better, much more verifiable way to put that piece of the puzzle in place. Tell me, David, here's another thing that a lot of people with bad credit uh, think that I know is not true. A lot of investors who put people in their houses that if you've got bad credit today, you'll have bad credit for years in the future. And you and I know had this conversation a week or two ago, and you said you guys can get most people where they need to be in just a few months.
Yeah, on average, most of our clients are done with us in 5 or 6 months.
Mhm,
Some folks it can be as little as 60 days. Some folks take 6 or 7 months.
mhm.
But I don't want to work on anyone for a year.
Right.
And I mean, I'm sure they're nice people, but I mean, after a year, I feel obligated to get them a birthday card or something, and I just don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah.
It's just, the I know that there are other credit repair companies out there, and their model is to only address 2 or 3 items a month
Mhm.
so that they drag the process out
Right.
for as long as possible.
Right.
And I don't want to do that. We've been referral only for about 17 years because we
Mhm.
try and get our clients in and out of the program as
Right.
quickly as we possibly can.
Right.
And the bottom line is that if I can't get it done in 5 months, continuing to hammer at it, um, how much good is that really going to do?
Mhm.
We've had situations where, we've told clients, you know what, look, let's take a break. I want you to work on balances, and then come back to us in 6 months and let's take a look at where you're at. And the other thing that we try and teach people is that good credit does not have to equal debt.
Mhm.
So, how are they managing their debt? How are they managing what they have? Because if you look at how the scoring model is made up, a good portion of it is in their, 100% their responsibility. You
Mhm.
know, what are their balances in relationship to the credit limit? That credit utilization ratio makes up a third of their credit score.
Mhm.
You know, I have no control over that.
Right.
I'm not gonna pay down their credit card for them.
Right.
So there's things like that that we want to educate the client on,
Mhm.
and make sure that they're applying those
Right.
techniques as well.
So your services to again, I keep going back to our buyer because that's how we would be utilizing a service as an investor. If I send a buyer to you, your service not only includes helping remove things from the credit report that would impact the score in a negative way, but also an education in the process of you need to get your balances paid down to this amount, or what steps they need to take beyond that.
Exactly. So before we even charge our initial fee to the client, if someone gets signed up, we don't even charge their first payment for 11 days.
Mhm.
Okay. So by the time they make their first payment to us, we will have already made sure that they're on the do not call list so that they're not getting phone calls from solicitors or third-party debt collectors. We put them on the opt-out pre-screen program to eliminate promotional inquiries into their credit. We'll contact the individual companies, we'll contact the bureaus and ask for that specific information that we talked about earlier to make sure that we're validating, verifying, looking for those technical errors. And then the last thing that we do is we give the clients basically an audit of here's the things that you need to specifically do to help improve your scores while we're working on the negative stuff.
Mhm.
All of that is typically done in the first 3 to 5 days before we even charge them their first payment to us.
Mhm.
So we really want to give them those tools so that they can be successful. And we don't want to mess around. We want to get into this and get through it and let them move on with their lives.
Okay, great. Okay, so and you may be able to do this, and you may not, but let's say that one of our buyers comes to you for credit repair, and they don't owe a lot as far as credit card goes because maybe it was a bankruptcy a couple of years ago or whatever it was, and they're looking at a score in the low to mid 500s, and we know today, especially in the environment that we're in today right now, lenders are looking for a little bit higher score. Sure, you can do some FHA in the 600s, but if you're looking for a regular loan, you're probably looking at 700 plus. So if it's just a matter of removing some things, getting some things cleaned up on the credit report, what kind of increase can they look at in their score in the 6 month period of time you're talking about?
So, that's an open-ended
Mhm.
question that's
Right.
hard to answer, and not because I'm trying to dodge you, but because the scoring models are so proprietary
Mhm.
that I can't, you can't just say, well, if you delete that, that's worth 10 points. If you
Right.
pay that down, it's worth 15 points. For example, the adjusting credit utilization ratio, I've seen have anywhere from a 20 to 80 point increase in someone's credit score. Okay. Removing a late payment or a collection item, again, could have anywhere from a 15 to a 100 point increase on someone's credit score based on what else is on the report. Okay, everything that's on the report kind of goes in together to adjust what that final score is.
Mhm.
Okay, and part of it is that the more recent the derogatory item, the more of a negative impact it has on the credit score. So for example, let's say you've got a collection item that's a $25,000 collection and it's 5 years old, and then you get a 30-day late payment last month. That 30-day late payment will actually hurt your credit score more than that $25,000 collection item from 5 years ago. Okay. So it's sometimes it's about how recent the derogatory information is, not necessarily what the derogatory information is.
Right. Okay.
The Sub2 Deals Show with your host, Sub2 expert William Tingle. We'll be right back. Hey Sub2ers, have you been trying to learn how to invest in real estate? It can take you years to learn the ropes on your own. How many people do you know who have been looking into real estate investing for years, but have never bought a single house? Do you have shelves full of courses but lack the courage to get out there and close on that first deal? Are you tired of so-called coaches who always seem to have just one more thing to sell you that you absolutely must have to be successful? Are you tired of trying to piece it all together with YouTube videos and free forms found on the internet? Is that really any way to build a business? William Tingle has been coaching real estate investors all over the country for over 16 years. And if you are ready, he can show you how to buy all the houses you want, anywhere you want, without ever having to ask a banker for one thin dime. Contact William today at sub2deals.com and schedule your free 30-minute strategy session. Talk it over, and if you think you're finally ready for success, he'll get you going. Back to the show, the Sub2 Deals Show, with your host, Sub2 expert William Tingle.
Okay. I know, David, that you and I talked a little bit about a special price that you can give some of our students or whatever that would like to utilize you for the credit repair for their buyers. You want to tell us a little bit about that, what you regularly charge and what you can do for our people?
Yeah, absolutely, William. If your listeners go to our website, which is omegacreditrepair.com, omegacreditrepair.com, you can see that we post our normal prices right there on the website. For an individual, it's 4 monthly payments of $199, and then it goes down to $79 a month. For a couple, it's 4 monthly payments of $299, and then it goes down to $149 a month. What I will do is, if your listeners will say that they were referred by or came to us through Sub2 Deals, then when they refer their clients to the program, they'll get a discount. And for an individual, it'll just be a flat rate of $97 a month, and a couple will be a flat rate of $147 a month. So basically about a 50% discount over what we normally pay.
Oh, well, that's
but
great.
They have to let us know that they're coming to us from, from Sub2 Deals,
Right.
In order to get that special rate.
Okay. And they can do that right there on your website.
Absolutely. Absolutely. At the top right-hand side of the webpage, it'll say, become an affiliate, and you'll click on that. You'll fill out the information, and it'll ask, for any comments, and you put member of Sub2 Deals.
Okay. Wonderful. That's great. Okay. Well, I mean, that was great information, David, that, like I said, the big misconception with a lot of people that it takes years to fix your credit. And that's just not the case.
No, federal law is set up to protect the consumer as much as they can.
Mhm.
And just because life happens to you, you don't have to live with that forever. And there are a lot of different techniques, different tools that can be used to increase that credit score a whole lot quicker. We address everything: late payments, charge-offs, collections, liens, judgments, bankruptcies, foreclosures, repossessions. We'll address all of that because it all comes under the same federal law that says it has to be complete, accurate, timely, and verifiable. That's what we're looking for. And, that's how we're able to get these folks back up and on their feet so that they can move on with life.
Right.
The key is that we want to make sure that they're changing their behavior at the same time so they don't come back and make the same mistakes all over again.
Right. As I understand the credit repair, you said there are 4 specific criteria that they have to meet. There can even, as I understand it, be something on your credit report that may have actually happened, but if it can't be verified or supported by documentation, by law, they have to remove it. Is that correct?
In some situations, yes. And so that's where we want to look at, we look at a ton of different criteria. We look at the statute of limitations. We look at the obsolescence period. That means we need to know specifically what the date of first delinquency or date of last activity is. And for each different type of account, be it a installment loan, a revolving line, a student loan, a utility, there are different fields that are required to be reported to the bureaus. And so we look at all of that and put those pieces into place to try and protect the client as much as possible.
Right. Okay. Well, obviously, David, we, want any of our listeners or our students to contact you for credit repair. But if they're out there looking and maybe they're shopping other companies or doing what have you, what are some of the things that they need to look out for? I mean, I know in my conversations with you and my last 10 years of dealing with different ones, like I said, talking to you the other day, when you said, hey, we can get anybody through this program in 6 months or less, typically. And I've heard other people say, a year, 2 years. So what should anyone that's looking at credit repair, what should they be watching out for when they're dealing with other companies?
Sure. Look, there are a ton of different companies that are out there. And, if your listeners, if someone decides to work with someone else, my feelings aren't going to get hurt. Okay. I've been doing this a long time, and I've got a great resources as far as mortgage officers, lenders that I've worked with for years. what I would encourage you to do is you want to make sure that whoever you work for is operating within the rules of the law. Okay. And when I say that, you have to remember anyone that you refer someone to is a reflection of you as a business person. So if one of your listeners says, hey, I want you to use this person for credit repair, and something goes bad, that's a reflection of of them just as much as it is the person that you sent them to. Okay. So you want to protect yourself. The law that governs credit repair is called the CROA or CROA. And so you want to make sure that whoever you work with is compliant with CROA. And one of the things that CROA says is that it is illegal to charge upfront fees for credit repair. Okay, so you can't charge in advance. And so if someone says, yeah, I charge them, $200 for an audit fee or setup fee or initial work fee, and then we get started, that's illegal. I don't care what you call it. Federal law, and more importantly, the agency that enforces it, the Federal Trade Commission, say that you cannot charge in advance for credit repair, no matter what you call it. Okay. That's why we do all of that work in the first 3 to 5 days before we charge anyone on day 11. Okay. The next thing that it says is that, so if you come across a company that charges in advance or upfront fees, you want to be aware of that. You want to be wary of that. Okay. There are some states that say, well, if you have a bond, you can charge in advance for credit repair. And my experience is that federal law trumps state law. Right. Okay. So even if the state says it's okay, I would still go by federal law because it's the FTC that's going to come knocking on your door. Right. Okay. Another thing that CROA says is that you have to, you have to be very specific about what it is you're going to do. So if they don't give the client in writing, here's the things that we're going to do, that's a red flag. If they tell the client to lie to the individual companies, collection agencies, or to the bureaus, that's a big red flag. If they tell the client to start a new EIN number or open up a new social security number, that's a big red flag. Okay. So those are the things you want to look for. In some states, there is a registration and or bond that's required to be filed. Other states, they don't require that. We are able to work nationwide. We are registered in the state of Texas. We are also registered and bonded in Florida, Alabama, New York, New Jersey, Arkansas. And we're registered and bonded there because we have independent agents that are actively soliciting business. I have clients in all these other states, California, Montana, Minnesota, but I'm not soliciting business there. So if someone comes to me from those other states, I'm happy to work with them. I only need to be registered and bonded in states where I'm actively soliciting business. Right. So you want to make sure that whoever you work with is following the letter of the law.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you can, just to make sure we're clear on this, you can help any investor with a buyer in any state in the United States.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, David, tell everybody again how to get in touch with you if they want to talk to you more about utilizing your services.
Absolutely. It is Omega, OMEGA, creditrepair.com. You can email me at david@omegacreditrepair.com. You can call me at 888-99-OMEGA. Okay. And those are the easiest ways to get a hold of me. I am on social media. That's a little bit tougher to get a hold of me on because I do stay pretty busy. Mm-hmm. But if you call that 888 number 99-OMEGA, one of my staff will answer the phone Monday through Friday. And if I'm not available, I will get back to you certainly within 24 hours.
All right, great. Well, that's some great information, David. We appreciate you sharing and offering. So what sounds like a terrific deal with your company. And all you guys have to do, remember, is when you go to omegacreditrepair.com, is just in the notes indicate that you were sent via the Sub 2 Deals show, or you're a Sub 2 Deal student, and you can get that 50% off for your buyers. So that's great. Hey, David, thanks so much for being here today and educating us a little bit on credit repair and how it can help us get our buyers financed quicker so we can get paid.
Hey, William, it was my pleasure, and I'd love to be back on again sometime. If you have other questions or anything that you want to talk about, I can talk about credit all day long. So thanks a lot for having me on your show.
Okay, thanks so much for being here. Well, Sub-Tours, that's it for this episode of the Sub 2 Deals Show podcast. You can find the show notes for this episode along with a complete transcript at sub2podcast.com. If you enjoyed this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe and give us a 5-star rating and review at Apple Podcast. It only takes a minute and it helps others discover the show. Also, if you haven't yet, join our free Facebook Subject To group at sub2forum.com. So until next time, keep learning, keep talking to sellers, and you will buy some houses.